Here we are, everyone. Welcome to Miami. Thank you all for coming. We're here, live, at Miami Beach. I can't believe I'm here. It's been an amazing time. Thank you all for coming. Hello, everyone. How we doing? Come on, chat. Talk to me. Talk to me. Let me know that you're there. Got a lot of bass in the background. It's good. It's Miami. It's part of the vibe. Hello, everyone. Tim, Girl, Sletton, Michael, Dingy, Leon. We're all here. We're all here. I mean, look. We'll talk a bit more about the race in a sec. Because, let's be honest. Was it a worldie? No. But, first time in Miami. There's a lot that's gone into it. Obviously, I've been here. Got here Friday night. Was at the track Saturday for qualifying. So that was an experience. Got pretty sunburnt. And today, we're at Miami Beach at the FTX off the grid thing. I can literally see, you know, there's all the talk of the signs that are on the beach. I can see a sign over there. It's just come into my view. I mean, Miami's a weird place, I'll be honest. I've never been here before. Would I come back? There's probably other places I'll go to before Miami, I'll be honest. I tweeted this earlier, it's like Southend on steroids. But there you go, thank you all for coming. It's good to be here. And obviously, thank you to 8 Sleep for having me. I'm in the 8 Sleep motorhome at FTX on the grid. And before we get into the stream, talk a little, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for 8 Sleep. So I'm more than happy to talk about their products, which I'm getting soon, because I've always struggled with sleep. Sleep is incredibly important to everyone, especially if you're a top tier athlete, hence why they have aligned with Mercedes. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting some cool sleep. Because, I mean, Hannah, she's always too cold in bed. I'm always too hot. And with 8 Sleep, you can control either side. Got a little screen share. Boom. Have a look on the old website. Patented technology for better sleep. Look at this. Look at these animations. You stick water in the side thing, pumps the water into the mattress, and you're nice and cool. Energized. App. Boom. Easy. Job done. Honestly, I'm so excited to get mine. Because I've struggled to sleep my whole life. I'm buzzing to get one. Because then I'll be an even better content creator. And that is possible, guys. That is possible. I promise you. I promise you. Look at all these layers. Look at all these layers. It's a beautiful thing. And you can get it as a mattress, or you can just get it as a cover as well. So if you've got a mattress already, there's no excuse. You don't need to get a new mattress. If you're happy with it, fine. Stick the cover on. Bosh, job done. You should check them out. Look at this. This is what I want. This on the left. This is what I desire. This is what you're getting right now on the right. It's not good enough. You deserve better. So now thank you so much to 8 Sleep for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. And you should definitely check them out, because without them, I would have been at home this weekend doing chores. It's been nice weather in the UK, to be fair. So it wouldn't have been the end of the world, but come on, it's Miami. It's Miami. We all need sleep. Look, come on. But anyway, thank you very much to 8 Sleep for having me. Thank you very much for supporting the brands that support me, because it's very important and I'm very appreciative. But yeah, 8 Sleep, we're here today in Miami. What do we think? What do we think out of 10? Come on, give us a rating out of 10 for the race, because it's one of them, innit? This is typically the way most races go. You get a bit of excitement at the start, pit start, then there's a little bit of, we had some pretty sloppy pit stops this race, and then towards the end, things pick up. Now, obviously, the whole reason things picked up, really, because ultimately, if Gasly and Lando don't have that tangle, which put Lando out of the race, and Gasly eventually, I think this race is looking at to be honest, probably like a 3, 4 out of 10. I've seen a lot of 4s, seen a few 3s, a few 5s. But obviously, as things picked up towards the end, which again I feel like they would have anyway, but that incident helped, bunched it up. Leclerc wasn't really able to make the move that he wanted to. So for me, I'm giving it a 6. I'm giving it a 6. It was saved by the end for sure. But actually, in the kind of lower midfield, I know we had a bit of a DRS train, which was, there was a good, it felt like 20 minutes of the race where we just watched the same DRS train going around. But there were scraps. It's just when there aren't scraps at the front, then it's a bit more difficult. So yeah, I think 6 out of 10. Plenty. And I think Miami moving forward, like obviously it's 10 years. 10 years on the calendar, so whether you like it or not, it's here to stay. And I mean, a lot of the old school tracks don't have 10-year contracts. Like, that's a significant statement of intent from Formula One. Obviously Vegas next year as well. So yeah, I think DRS was okay actually. Certain cars seem to slingshot past others, but I think predominantly actually DRS was probably needed, and I think it was about right here for me this weekend. But to be fair actually as well, I think this is one of those races because look, the walls are right there. You make a mistake. There were mistakes. Fortunately for the drivers, when they did make mistakes, there was runoff in those instances. We didn't get anyone shunting into the corner where, you know, Carlos and Esteban both dropped it in practice and quali. So no, it was just practice, wasn't it, where they both dropped it at the same time. So we didn't see anyone hit, which is obviously good, but it's a testament to the drivers. Like, what, 60 whatever laps it was, the fact that none of them put it into the wall, it's impressive. But there were incidents. So look, sometimes you need a bit of that. We needed an incident to light a fire under this race. I think, you know, the end saved it. Otherwise, it's a 3 or it's a 4, isn't it? But there you go. Right. So should we look at the results then, shall we? The results of the inaugural Miami Grand Prix. Max Verstappen takes the win. And purple lap. Purple, fastest lap, 26 points for Max. First place in every single race he's finished. And the other two would have been P2s at the minimum. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's looking pretty... I think we're all guilty. You see, like, one result, and there's... You change, and you're like, oh, hang on. But I think Red Bull, as long as there's no more kind of permanent... They've got their issues out of the way, I feel like, with the car. From a reliability point of view. And I think that it's looking pretty ominous, because... Again, there were times in that race when Charles was breathing down Max's neck. He was in DRS range. All it would have taken was a little lock of the brake from Max. Especially that final corner caught so many people out. And you had the long kind of, what is it, turn 5 or 6? The long, where you got a kind of trail brake. And yeah, that caught a lot of people out, obviously. But that final corner, because I don't know, I feel like with this race, more than any other race, we really saw how big and lethargic these new cars seem to be. I don't know if, was that just me maybe? But like, there seemed to be a lot of instances where these cars just, like, you could see they wouldn't turn in. And I reckon last generation cars at Miami, they would have been significantly quicker. That's just, I ain't got anything to back that up. I'm just saying. But yeah, Verstappen, Leclerc, clear. Seemingly, I mean, Carlos didn't have the pace to keep up. Him and Sergio were having their own little battle, which was a shame because Carlos, he was so close to. Oh no, he was about 0.2, wasn't he, off Charles in quali. So close, not that close. And in the race, he just wasn't able to keep up ultimately. And even on the safety car restart, it was just him and Checo having their own little battle, and. I think, yeah, there was so much talk last year of Carlos relative, and obviously the podiums were there, right? The points were there, but I think Charles did have the stronger drives, performances last year, and I think that's showing true now. That car can fight for wins, which last year's car couldn't, and Charles is making the most of it, so fair play to him. Sergio Perez P4. Russell Hamilton. Tasty, wasn't it? Bottas P7, shame, because he could have been P5 Valtteri. Big shame. Both Alpines, Ocon Alonso in the points. And then Alex Albon. The red hair comes through clutch once again. Albon point. Look, of course, Yes, was he lucky? Yes, he doesn't get a point if Schumacher and Vettel don't have their coming together. I understand that. But he put himself in that position to capitalise. Latifi hasn't been able to. Albon's so much quicker than Latifi in this race again. I know they went on different strategies, but I mean, you look at the gap before the safety car came out, crazy. And then Ricciardo, because Ricciardo was on the softs, wasn't he, at the end, but he just wasn't able to close that gap. Stroll, Tsunoda, Latifi, Schumacher, K-Mag, and then, yeah, Vettel. Vettel was running quite well as well, and then Gasly, not good not a good day for Pierre. Not a good day at all. Lando, unfortunate, and then Joey had a technical issue early on, which was, he was gutted on the radio, and yeah, I mean, it's poor luck. You know what I mean? I know it wasn't like he went out in Q1, but shame for Joe. Big shame for him. And yeah, I think Ricciardo, I think there's no doubt that Lando's quicker than Daniel in quali, for sure. I think in race, I think it's a lot closer. Obviously, because Daniel's starting further back and DRS trains and traffic and blah, blah, blah. I think he's a lot closer in race, but I definitely think Lando's clear of him in qualifying. I think that's a given for me. But yeah, there were some wins, there were some loses. So let's look at them now. My driver of the weekend, not just the race, the weekend. Obviously, the race is the most important component. Driver of the weekend, team of the weekend, and then the opposite. Struggle of the weekend from a team and driver point of view. It's difficult, tricky, because I think there were a lot of... I found it really difficult to pick an L of the weekend because, especially towards the end, we saw a few sloppy moments. But for me, and this might surprise you, who I gave driver of the weekend, I gave it to Max ahead of Alex. So for me, Max driver of the weekend, honourable mentions go to George Russell. Poor qualifying, but the recovery, he made the call to stay out. You know, you roll that dice in that opportunity, took P5. He's finished top 6 in every race so far this year as well. In a car that, you know, yes, Mercedes seems to have found some pace now, probably because of the 8-sleep branding. I feel like that's the main component in the success, but you like that. But yeah, I just think that George is killing it, like, did a fantastic job. And then, yeah, Alex, again, yes, was he fortunate to get those 2 places up? Almost P9 with Alonso's 5-second penalty. He's like 2 tenths off. Is it top 5? He's a top 5 every race. There you go. Even better. And, yeah, so, but Max was just, for me, like, soaking up that pressure from Leclerc. It's a champion's drive. He's a man in his 8th year in Formula 1. He's only 24. It's crazy. And it's ominous. It's very ominous. Like, you got to think, Max domination era, you wouldn't be surprised, given what we've seen. If Red Bull can give him the car, he can deliver the results. Team W, I gave to Red Bull, because I think this proved a lot. And obviously Sergio wasn't able to clear Carlos, which was a shame. That would have been amazing. There's so... Honestly, right, walking around Miami, Red Bull is by far and away the biggest supported team. Checo effect. There's a huge Spanish-speaking population here. So, you know, I think this is kind of close to home race for Checo. After Mexico, of course. I feel like this is the next best thing for him. So, it's a shame you can... I'd have loved to have seen him on the podium. I think people would have liked that. But it's a shame. And then Alpine, both drivers in the points, considering, you know, qualifying, obviously, Esteban didn't even start stone dead last to get up to P8 in the end, with Fernando's penalty putting him to P9. That's got a... Yeah, Ocon, you know, drive the week. I feel like I couldn't put Ocon above Verstappen, Russell and Albon. But still huge. But the Alpine's got pace. And then Mercedes, just, you know, best of the rest. Probably should have been behind Bottas if Bottas hadn't made that mistake. But I think that they've clearly got a lot of pace. They've clearly got a lot more to give. But do I think Mercedes are going to be able to breach that? You know, getting to the top of the midfield is one thing, which they seem to have now seemingly done. But bridging that gap up to that's another kettle of fish, and I'm not convinced, but we'll see. Do you not like? Do you not like my insert? No, listen. Everyone else is like repping McLaren or Red Bull or Mercedes. I'm repping Pirelli. Okay. This is why I'm wearing this shirt, and I like the kit. Okay. I mean, I've got an AC Milan kit, and I've got an Inter Milan kit, so that tells you how much I support either or. Though there is a photo from of me from when I was like 8 in an Inter Milan kit, so there you go. Right, driver ill of the weekend. This was difficult, but I gave it to Pierre. It's really sloppy. From what we haven't seen one on board. We haven't seen his Lando's on board, but it looks, from what I've seen, pretty cut and dry. That obviously Gasly had an issue. Seems to, I don't know, lost hydraulic performance. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but just understeered going into again that trial braking section, and then just seemed to not be aware of Lando, which you think surely Pierre must have been aware. The only thing that can save Pierre, because I don't know, maybe he wasn't, because of some kind of steering issue, that's why he wasn't able to react to Lando. But I don't know, I haven't seen anything suggesting that necessarily. So, because look, Gasly was driving well, he qualified well, but I just think that appeared to be such a sloppy incident. For me, it was between Gasly and Schumacher for me, and I gave it to Gasly. Obviously, Schumacher fully sent it on the inside of Seb. Again, haven't seen other angles, haven't seen onboards yet. I don't know if they're out there, but I didn't see any. And, well, no, I saw Schumacher's onboards, and he did seem to send it a bit heavy. He said it was his corner. It's a bit awkward as well, Schumacher and Seb coming together, because, you know, gonna have a good, sometimes, you know, gonna have to have a good heart-to-heart, because we know their relationship is very strong, but it doesn't mean you can't, like, they're racing drivers, and I'm sure Seb doesn't think he's in the wrong, which I don't think he is either. And I'm sure, like, Mick at the time, he thought he had the corner. I don't know. Difficult, tricky one. And then K-Mag. Big up K-Mag. Not so good this weekend. Out-qualified by his teammate quite a bit. Like, it didn't end up being that close in the end between them. And, yeah, I just think that there was got black and white flag for weaving. There were a few incidents with K-Mag. Wasn't the cleanest race either, so I'll put in a mail. Team L of the weekend, I think McLaren. The promise they've shown, this is the closest we've got back to Bahrain problems for them. Obviously, the temperature. Surely it's a temperature thing, because Bahrain and Miami aren't similar styles of track, yet McLaren struggle both. High temperature, high humidity. There seems to be a cooling issue there. So yeah, shame for McLaren. It was looking up, but I mean, Lando probably wouldn't have got points anyway, so I guess it's not the end of the world, the shunt, but still wasn't looking great. And obviously, yeah, Daniel not on form. AlphaTauri, I mean, Yuki Tsunoda was falling dropping like a stone at one stage. So I mean, not great from Yuki. I could have put him around the L of the weekend, but there weren't massive mistakes, just no pace seemingly. And obviously Gasly's cock up, not looking great. And then yeah, Haas, obviously all that promise early doors seems to have evaporated. Look, obviously these cars are going to be changing all the time. I think we're going to see very different cars in Spain. Hopefully, there's obviously a lot of excitement after Bahrain about Haas, seeing them fighting top of the midfield. They're clearly not top of the midfield, that car, clearly not. We're starting to see that now as these cars bed in and mature. Yeah, not a good race for Haas either. So, Seb's overtakes were very good, Stacey, actually. Thank you for the I haven't even looked if I've got any super chats, by the way. So sorry if I've missed any. I'll go through at the end and double check that I haven't missed any super chats. So yeah, winners and losers for me. That's it, right. Let's go now. How long we've done, everyone? How long have I been waffling on for? We've been going for 20 minutes. Nice. Making good time. We're in no rush, okay? We're here in Miami. We're in no rush. Actually, no, I kind of am, because I'm flying home tonight, so it's fine. I've got loads of time. Right, okay. Team by team. I've just reflected, so now the Pirelli logo is the wrong way around. Starting Williams. Yeah, obviously, we've talked about Albon, right? Latifi. What like? honestly, there is... Latifi needs a good weekend relative to Alex, because that's the important thing, okay? That their car... Well, we say their car seems to be the worst car, because obviously Alex, you know, he's struggling to get out of Q1 as well. Or is that car actually not quite so bad, but Nick is just getting no performance out of it? Look, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Like, third year at the team, same team, new teammate coming in, who's been out of the sport for a year. Do I think Albon's driving well? Yes. I think that is clear. He's driving well, not just relative to his teammate, but relative to everyone else. You know, Albon's... We're not seeing... When we're watching practice and quali, and we're seeing drivers spin and have shunts, we're never seeing... Touchwood, anyway. We've not been seeing Albon shunt. We've not been seeing him spin. So, Latifi's had his incidents. The pace just isn't there. How much of that is the team? I mean, look, it was the same story with Russell. He wasn't really anywhere near. It's just another race where he's been convincingly outperformed by his teammate. I think before the safety car, there was a good... Oh, there's a ferry. There was a good, like, I don't know, 45, 50 seconds after Nicky... When they'd done the same amount of pit stops, they'd both done 1 stops, I think. Alex maybe even 2 stops. The gap was huge. I feel like the gap... If there was no safety car, the gap would have been over a minute. And it's not good enough. And look, you look to these drivers and there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. And you think, oh, maybe the cars are different, maybe this, maybe that. But I can't find an excuse other than he's just not fast enough. So, sad to say, because I like Nicky as a personality, but this is Formula 1, this is top tier motorsport, and he's not proving that he's here on merit. Simple as. Simple as. Simple as. Right, okay. It's Williams. Let's talk about Red Bull. Red Bull. Obviously, Max, again, just solidifying his position and looking at pace. I think, you know, when Max hooks it up and when Charles hooks it up, well, when Max hooks it up, he is clear of Sergio when Sergio hooks it up. Yes, obviously, fantastic qualifying from Sergio in Saudi Arabia. I think even Sergio said that was the lap of a lifetime. They don't happen very often, hence why it's a lap of a lifetime. So that's what that means. So I think that, yeah, I think Max is obviously the driver, right? I think he is the quickest, the best driver in Formula 1 right now. I don't think that's up to much debate, really. I think the way he's been driving this year, because I do think he overstepped the mark. I think he was too aggressive at times last year. I mean, look, it worked. And again, I don't blame Max for that. You know, if the ruling of the sport is going to allow a driver to race too aggressively, then I don't blame them for racing too aggressively, because you've got to take every opportunity you can to maximise and win the title, right? And that's controversial, but I'm just saying. So yeah, I think that Max is just, again, solidifying his spot, top of that team. Perez, you know, we all know the position, obviously, you know, is it written in his contract to be a number 2 driver? Probably not, but I think Sergio understands the dynamic, okay? And I think he needs to, you know, as this battle heats up, especially with the DNFs early on, I think Max's DNFs early on mean that because Max has got more, you know, more points he needs to recover relative to Charles to win the title in the end, I think that makes Sergio's life even more difficult for him to mount a challenge of his own, because he's not as good as Max, obviously. Like, that's not a controversial thing to say. But he's still a fantastic driver, and yeah, I was gutted he didn't get a podium, because that would have been a vibe. That would have been an absolute vibe. But yeah, Max, Red Bull, Sergio, looking good. Because again, this is another thing, right? We'll talk about Ferrari after. You know, Carlos needed a good week. Carlos needed to out-qualify Leclerc. It's what, 5-0 to Leclerc head-to-head qualifying. That didn't happen. Obviously, yeah, I just think Red Bull are doing what they need to do to maximise their opportunities. And they're doing bits. They're killing it. They're smashing it. Alright, Red Bull done. Yeah, let's talk about Ferrari next. Ferrari. Boom. This is the problem, right? So, Carlos doesn't want to play second fiddle. We all know this. But that is the way things are moving. And it's... look, Carlos got the podium. Happy days. Not a problem. But he was close at one stage to out-qualifying Charles. And then... it just, in the race, he was just seemingly nowhere near. Which is a shame for him. But... look, Carlos, like, he's not naive, right? He knows that this title fight... and in the same way last year, all of the conversation, it was all built around Hamilton versus Verstappen. And Leclerc Verstappen is going in that same direction. And as Carlos continues to get out qualified by Charles, that's only gonna step up. And yeah, I think Carlos really needed, because look, he proved last year. Last year he looked. Again, I do think Charles was the stronger driver last year. But last year, he looked very good. Very good. Relative to... but it's a shame. Because obviously, adaptability is a huge... These F1 cars might as well be a different category to what they were last year. That's the thing as well. So, some drivers are going to adapt to that and thrive. Others, not so much. So, Ferrari, sad times. For Carlos. Not for Charles. It is worrying. I don't know. It's like, are Ferrari just running too much wing? Like, if they just take some wing out, would they be relative quicker? Because it seems that Charles was quicker in the twisty stuff and Max was quicker on the straights. Dial a bit of wing out, maybe you're alright. And yeah, Charles was... you see Charles attacking those curbs towards the end. I was worried. I was getting Imola PTSD flashbacks. 100%, man. He was going for it. He fought valiantly, but I think that move wasn't going to happen. That move wasn't going to happen. Right, Ferrari done. Mercedes. We'll talk about Mercedes, and then we'll get our guest on. How's that sound? Yeah? We'll talk about Mercedes, and then get our honourable, esteemed guest on for the post-race Chinwag. Yeah, I mean, look, it's a step in the right direction. Again, am I convinced that Mercedes are going to be able to breach that gap between themselves and Red Bull and Ferrari? I think it's going to take a Herculean update to make that happen. I think that's going to take a huge update to make that happen. And maybe that will happen. This is what I mean. I think come Spain, we could be seeing some very, very different cars. There's all this talk of car in the wind tunnel so different to what's on track, blah, blah, blah. It's like, maybe it is. But, again, just because something's quick on a sim doesn't mean it's rapid in real life. So, yeah, we'll see. But I've been like, George Russell, like, outside of Verstappen and Leclerc, you know, they're kind of in their little microcosm. They've got their own little... There's a separate kind of debate. You can't really compare those two to the rest, I think. It's more difficult. But I think the rest... well, again, every race top 5 in a Mercedes that has been a tricky car. George Russell's, mate. And he's what? Finished ahead of Hamilton in 4 races. Hamilton's was ahead in Bahrain. So it's 4-1 to... Is it 4? Has Russell been ahead in 4 races? I think he has, hasn't he? George Russell's been... and look, he's been... Because look, I know a lot of people, right, just want to take this opportunity to slam on Lewis, right? Oh, Hamilton washed, blah, blah. Like, no, come on. Like, Lewis has been very unfortunate. He's been unlucky. Like, George was fortunate to finish ahead of Lewis today. The safety car came. He optimised, don't get me wrong, but there was a degree of fortune there. Absolutely. But George, like, there's not... from what we've seen, there's no question. He is... pace-wise, he's there. He's there with Lewis. I'd say so. Wouldn't you? From what we've seen so far. take the names away, take the 7 times world champion away from Lewis, take the experience Delta away. I think the pace. I think as teammates go, they've been two of the closest on the grid, and that's obviously huge for Mercedes. I think that's super important because there were all these question marks. Of course, there were question marks going into George getting the drive at Williams. But I think now it's very easy to now look back at the incredible performances he extracted, pulled out of that Williams, and optimise it and make the most of it. You know what I mean? I think that's clear as day now that there was merit in reading into those. It wasn't like, oh well, he just got lucky or whatever. Like, George is rapid, and yeah, obviously he's ahead of Lewis in points, but look, come on, F1 is a very, very. If you just look at points, then you're massively oversimplifying the reality of the situation as far as I'm concerned. But they've been very close, and yeah, if anything, I think George has been slightly stronger. But there you go. Right, we'll get our guest on a bit later. Right, let's wrap through a few more of these actually first. Right, who should I talk about next? Let's talk about McLaren. Big McLaren in the F1 store at the Grand Prix. Bruv, so much McLaren merch in the F1 store, like a whole wall dedicated to just McLaren. The Lando effect is strong. I've seen McLaren from an activation point of view in terms of events and presence in Miami. McLaren bigger than Ferrari, bigger than Mercedes. Big presence as well. It's been Mercedes and McLaren who have really, put themselves out there. I saw Go Puff or something? It's like a delivery service that sponsors McLaren. I saw like a billboard with then a McLaren like 720S, like or whatever it's called, like behind, just driving around. It's pretty cool. So honestly, right, I've never seen so many Lamborghini Uruses in one day, and they're all like bright blue, pink. There are so many flash. I won't say the word. Begins with C, ends in T, or S. It's Miami though, isn't it? So that's what it is. But so many Uruses. I saw a Chiron today as well, Bugatti, which is like what? It's like $1.5 million in it. $1.5 million. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of money, and there's some like mad free will stuff. Honestly, the cars. Oh my god, as well, right? So who knew? Right, I didn't know this. So in Florida, you don't need a front license plate. I know I'm digressing here, but why not? It's live stream. You don't need a front license plate. So all the cars, even like a Toyota Camry, look so much nicer than the cars back home. And even the rear plates, they're like only small, and they're not like the horrible number plates we get in the UK. Honestly. So the cars look sick here. The road cars look amazing. 3 million from a Chiron. Jesus. 3 mil. Crazy. Yeah, because I know some states you don't need a license plate on the front. But anyway, yes, McLaren, not goods. Not goods. But again, I'm not massively surprised. But then I suppose all my predictions of McLaren, I think now we know. Yeah, it seems to be the heat that's the factor. Because you've got Bahrain, you've got Miami, very different circuits. But the one similar factor, high heat. Because, to be fair, not so much today, actually. I reckon if the race had been yesterday, because yesterday was so hot, right? Honestly, the humidity, right? I've been to humid places, that's fine. But the heat on top of the humidity was a joke. So much yesterday. So, I reckon it would have been even worse for McLaren if the race was yesterday. Because it actually was, like, a bit more overcast today. It literally, like, 5 minutes before the race started, where I am now, Miami Beach, which is, to be fair, it's quite far from the track. It's probably like a 20, 25, half-hour drive. So it's a bit of distance. But yeah, it just, like, pissed down 5 minutes before the race. But we didn't end up getting... Shame, actually. Shame that we didn't get a sudden Miami downpour for the race. That would have been cool. But yeah, the humidity combined with the heat yesterday was crazy. Hence why I'm a bit hopefully this will turn into tan line, but right now it's It's lobster.com over here. So yeah, not a good day for McLaren commercially. Probably a pretty good day for McLaren, but on track wasn't able to back that up, which is a shame. It's a shame. Okay, talking of home tracks though, Haas. Yeah. Look, I think this race proved that, you know, there are certain teammates. I mean, look, to be fair, actually, obviously the teammates with the biggest deltas. Obviously, you've got straight away Latifi, Albon. You look at, honestly, like Verstappen, Perez, Leclerc, Sainz. There seems to be a reasonable difference between them. I think Mick, this race showed, like, he out-qualified K-Mag. What, in Q1, I think Q1, what, Schumacher was like P11, and obviously Magnussen went out in P16. And on top of that, Ocon didn't even perform, and you'd expect in an Alpine Ocon would get through Q1. So that happened. But I think this race proved that K-Mag and Schumacher can... Yeah, I think on pace, Schumacher was quicker, maybe slightly quicker than K-Mag this weekend. Which again is good for Haas, because I think that Magnussen, again, you think how long Magnussen's, well, he had 2 years out. Yeah, is it 2 years out? 1 year out. Whatever. He was doing other stuff. Obviously, like, Alex was out as well, and as long as you're keeping racing, and I think as well, because these are new cars for everyone, I think for K-Mag to come into the sport, for Alex to come back into the sport, it's less of a... because there's the unknown for everyone. But this is a good thing for Haas, that they've seemingly got Mick driving at a better level and a much closer level. He's... yeah. So yeah, happy days from that point of view. But the pace was... not good. Sometimes... because look, as well, you can't be too reactionary. Obviously, the problem for Mick last year is that, yes, obviously, your first season F1 is very valuable. But when you have a teammate who's significantly worse than you and has no experience, then that's going to be difficult. That's going to be tricky. Like, you're not going to learn as much. Like, Mick Schumacher... right, if Mick Schumacher's teammate was Kevin Magnussen last year, which is probably the pairing it should have been, Mick Schumacher now is not much better, is a better driver. No question, because he's had a whole year of working with K-Mag and having that relationship, working together. We're seeing it with Valtteri and Joe. I think, you know, Joe was super unlucky today. I think he's moving in the right direction. And I think a big component of that is him working together with Valtteri. I think Mick didn't get that last year, but he's got that now. So happy days, good for him. I'm happy for Mick, because, you know, obviously he gets, you know, labelled name merchant, but he's got talent. All right, he won F2. He's got ability. He's not slow. He did a good job. Good job. Right. Let's talk about Aston Martin, as a certain Mr. Lawrence Stroll would say. Aston Martin. Better. Lance Stroll was on for a quality Grand Prix. Great quality. Was it P9 in the end? Good for him out qualifying Seb, because, you know, I don't think that will happen often, but fair play. Well done, Lance. It was looking good. Then, like, what actually... I know it's like, what, the team refrigerated the fuel for too long or some... I don't know. That's such a donut move to make on a Grand Prix where... Aston have definitely turned the corner, it seems. Because they weren't quick in Saudi Arabia. They struggled there. Obviously, I know it was Hulkenberg, you know, coming in, deputising. But they seem to have turned the corner. Obviously, I know the points aren't on the board and things got a bit messy for Seb. Not his fault, as far as I could see anyway. So I'm not going to put too much responsibility in his shoes. I think they were both driving a very good race. And it's, yeah, the points weren't there, but super optimistic, promising positive step for Aston Martin. Yes, the points would have been nice, but the performance over the next 18 races, you know, that's what they're gonna get opportunities. Like, that car is, I think, well, is it clearly clear of the Williams? Alex finished ahead of both Aston Martins. I mean, again, I don't know, but it's a corner turn for Aston Martin, which is I think good. I'm happy. I'm happy. Yeah, Seb was doing good until Mick punted him. Stroll was doing good. Yeah. But considering how far off they seem to be at one stage, I'm happy for Aston Martin. And I'm sure Lawrence Stroll is a happier man. Okay? I hope there's no reactive, because there's so much change going on in that team. I hope there's no reactive decision making at Aston Martin. That would be a shame, because yeah, the potential is high. Alpine. Yeah, Ocon, it's a cardinal sin to bin it in FP3, and he did that, so that's part of the reason, because he had a very good race to recover. Obviously, did end up starting ahead of the Aston Martins, so that made life a little bit easier for him. So he started P18, P9 on the track, P8 in the end with the penalty. Hard to really differentiate too much between Alonso and Ocon. I'm not really sure. I guess you would maybe say that Ocon had the stronger race because he had to come from so much further back. But again, another, like, these two are at a very similar level. Very similar level. So, but I was surprised that the Alpine wasn't quicker, because they've looked very good at times. It wasn't. We're talking about Alonso potentially getting on pole. I mean, it wasn't. I don't think that was going to happen. But yeah, the pace wasn't amazing. But look, they made their way through. I think they're clearly. You've got to feel like they're closer to the Mercedes, Alfa Romeo, that kind of pace, than they are to maybe the Haas or the Aston Martin or the Williams. Yeah, well, there was that. Actually, no, there was that move Alonso, wasn't there, when he tried to go up the inside and tagged Gasly, wasn't there? And he got a penalty. Yeah, because when that happened, I was like, I think he was always going to get a penalty for that, because Gasly lost out so much. Because then Alonso was up to like P9 and Gasly was down in P11. So I think that was always going to be a penalty. I think like Alonso locked up. When someone locks up and you're behind and there's contact, I think the driver behind is always going to cop a penalty for that. So maybe it was unfair, but I don't feel. I feel like if you're gonna, in the same way, you know, like Albon got that penalty for the Stroll incident. Oh, Albon biased. I'm just saying, right? He locked up, going for the move from behind, and they made contact. Obviously, the outcome was very different for Stroll because he was spun out, but because Alex locked a wheel, that kind of forced the hand of the stewards. But there you go. Thank you. It's a nice Inter jersey, isn't it? It's good vibes. But yeah, Alpine generally. Look, again, I just like Fernando. It's crazy impressive. He's 40 years old and he's still driving at such a good level. But obviously, Fernando's not driving at his prime because him and Ocon are so close. That would then be like, oh, Ocon is the same as Fernando in his prime, which obviously he's not. Fernando in his prime is easy top 10 of all time. So, yeah, I think that, yes, Alonso's lost a bit of performance, but he's still, in terms of, if we're just looking at merit, he's 100% still at the level, which is so impressive. It's so impressive. Because, you know, we talk about, you know, when Schumacher returns, you know, Raikkonen had a bit of time out, came back, I don't think was ever really the same. Yet Fernando, the longevity of that man is incredible. And I don't think anyone matches it. I really don't. So, or ever has matched it. Because you've got to remember, right? I know back in the 1950s and 60s, you had drivers in their 40s quite regular, right? But then everyone was in their 40s and they always used to smoke loads of cigarettes, didn't take care of themselves. The cars would break down all the time. Like, there was so many more, like, miscellaneous factors. But Fernando's just decent. And yeah, Ocon did a really good job. And I, you know, I rate Ocon highly. You know I rate him highly. Okay, Alpha Tauri, Pierre Gasly, Yuki Tsunoda. Not a good week. I know, obviously, my pre-season predictions, I gassed up AlphaTauri quite a bit. oh, AlphaTauri going to be, best of the rest. That clearly hasn't happened. They kind of seem to be. They're not the worst in the midfield. They're not the best. They're kind of in the middle of the midfield, which it's a shame they haven't really turned a corner. I think Tsunoda's driving a lot better now. He didn't have a good race today, though. He just didn't seem to have the pace. He seemed to be getting overtaken loads, just falling down. Gasly was better. What is his best qualifying in the season? P7. So pretty good from Pierre until the really sloppy incident. And yeah, just AlphaTauri, it's just been a bit of a nothing season. Not as good as last year, I think. You look at how consistent Pierre was, qualifying top 6, crazy consistent. Now, not so much. So I think relative, they've probably taken a slight step back, which is a shame. But Tsunoda's definitely taken a step forward, so happy about that. Right, and one more team to go, and then we'll get our guest on, who's just eating, finishing his grub. Alfa Romeo. Now, Zhou Guanyu's been super. I think he's been unlucky. I think he's showed good promise. He hasn't made too many mistakes for a rookie in his first season in these tricky cars that are new for everyone. So it's not like, yes, Bottas is experienced, but also Valtteri's learning these new cars as well. So before Valtteri can help Zhou, he's got to learn as well. I know Valtteri's been in the sport for a long time, but yeah, I mean, like it's a learning experience for everyone. He had what was it in the end? I didn't actually see. Can you let me know what the issue was for Zhou Guanyu? Because I know, yeah, he just had to pull in, which was a shame. Didn't have a good quali. First time he's gone out in Q1 this season though, which is impressive because that Alfa Romeo is pretty hit and miss. Like, I think wasn't it I'm sure in Q1 Bottas was like 14th or maybe 15th. Ended up qualifying P5, wasn't it? Like, he qualified really well, Valtteri, yet almost was on the cusp of getting knocked out in Q1. So, that car, even in the hands of Bottas, who's a fantastic qualifier, isn't guaranteed at Q1 yet. So it's a shame for Zhou. Bottas would have definitely been in with a shout for driver of the weekend if it wasn't for the lockup. That was such a shame. Such a shame. Such a shame. Wait, was it lockup or did you just carry too much speed? Kind of almost clipped the wall. Did well to not put it into the wall. But obviously then lost position to both Mercedes. Probably would have come home P5. Yeah, if it wasn't for that, I think Bottas' driver of the weekend's up there, 100% in the mentions. But alas, it wasn't to be. But there you go. Right. Okay, party time. Our guest is ready. Woo! Guest in the chat. Let's bring him in. He's got his microphone down here. Welcome.
Oh,
welcome.
Yeah.
Move
Hello.
in. Get in, son. Get in, geezer.
Oh, this is cosy, mate.
Get in,
this
fella.
is cosy.
Who's this? Who's this mug?
Who am I?
Look over there.
It's the beach.
It's such a fake. There's more like there's cruise ships.
I know. This is actually quite romantic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've still got chips in my teeth. But
Oh, disgusting.
how are we all? Hello, everybody.
I think, you know what, right? We've talked all about the race. I think what we should, because we're here, right? A lot of people wanted to come, couldn't. Tickets. I heard stories about actual, like, you guys on Friday, like, you can get tickets for half price because you had price gougers buying loads of tickets, not being able to sell them. The experience, you've been here longer than me, because you came earlier in the week, did that video with Charles.
Did indeed, yeah. It was very fun.
Very fun. Only didn't get along with him, but you smashed it, mate.
Well, we waited 5 hours for 12 minutes with him, and it was the
He's
best
worth
12
it.
minutes of my life.
It's worth it, yeah, exactly. All in all, though, what would you say, like, the experience at Miami, you've been to a lot more Grand Prix than me as well, like, has it met your expectations?
Miami's been, I mean, I think the best way to describe it is weird. Like, the whole, it's so different to any other Grand Prix I've ever been to because clearly, well, for those that don't know, this is the first time Formula One has actually taken on a race and paid for it rather than them paying a circuit, or sorry, the circuit paying them to have the privilege. So it's been done differently. It's a very expensive experience for a fan because I think.
Oh my god! Everything here costs so much.
It's weird. It's like a weird kind of tale of two halves, really. Where on one side it's really accessible, and I feel like the general admission tickets for Miami were actually like some of the viewing points you had around the track were unreal.
Yeah.
and you think, oh, that's really accessible. But then on the other side, you're like, I have to pay $6 for a bottle of water. So I think overall it's obviously brilliant for Formula One because, you know, the US Grand Prix and USA in general has actually welcomed Formula One now. Like Drive to Survive has changed everything, and I can see why Formula One do it. Right, you know, this is clearly a place to make a lot of money and also to get a lot more fans.
The numbers don't lie.
No, they don't. They
Like it or not,
don't.
like Drive to Survive or not, like the impact is just like we've been racing the Copa since what 2012, right? So we've been racing in America. It's not like it's a new thing to race in America, right? 50 of 72 seasons in F1 have had a race in the States. Like racing in America with F1 is not new, but this, like, I don't know, like on telly, the amount of celebrities here, like the amount it's being talked about, I think this is huge for the sport, man. I think in terms of, like, from a commercial point of view, I feel like there's an argument to say that this is the biggest Grand Prix in the history of the sport.
It's certainly probably grossing revenue wise, and that's all gone into Formula One's pockets. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's, you know, there are levels to it. I mean, we saw in the coverage today, some of it's overboard, and you think, oh, you know, it's because we're in America. And then there's like, they took it another level. You know, I felt like they stepped it up even more with like the police escort and the football helmets, the American football helmets on the podium and stuff like that. And I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just my old head of like watching Formula One for years. It's.
I think if we're going to come to Miami, they've got to lean into that. Like what makes, because I think what's great about Monaco, what's great about like certain tracks is that they lean into what makes them different and special and stand out. And I think that's important for I mean, obviously we've got Vegas next year, but it's a 10-year contract here, so Miami's not going away anytime soon.
Oh, it's insane. Like 10 years. That's a long commitment to the sport. And
I will be almost 40 in 10 years.
I will be almost 40 as well, 39. So yeah, let's not think about that. That's a bit, that's depressing. Should we just go offline now?
I think maybe it's no. So all in all, like, would you say, because you know we were knocking about yesterday at the track, a lot of people about. I think they said I think we've seen about, was it 300,000, 400,000 over a whole weekend in terms of.
I think I'm not sure the exact numbers, but yeah, it was a lot of people. Yeah, a huge amount of hype.
But I think like the weather yesterday. I mean, the weather yesterday was a joke.
Obscene. I mean. Us English people cannot deal with this.
No,
like, honestly, we were trying to find
two
shade.
pasty white boys aren't gonna. It's not gonna work for us.
But I think talking about the actual track now. It's, you know, I actually think there is potential there. You know, you can't say that every single race is going to be a banger, and you can't always blame it on the track itself. I think there are definitely things that need to iron out, like the safety, and they've been speaking about turn 11, haven't they? And I also think that last sort of 14 to 16 is very Mickey Mouse and Formula E-esque, it feels like, you know, how tight it is. It doesn't feel like a Formula One car should really be going through there. But I think if they iron it out, maybe there is some chance. Because after the safety car, we had chaos. You know, the F1 TV direction didn't know where to look. In fact, they just stuck it in an aerial position whilst all the midfield were changing.
Wait, so there was the one with, was it Vettel was trying to make a move and Stroll... Crofty spent the whole time just saying...
Stroll was in commentary.
So that the Stroll Latifi incident. And then you had, when, was it Schumacher made the move because K-Mag locked up? And it just like, they were just waffling about something else.
It was like they were watching a different feed, wasn't it? We were like, have we got a different show going on here?
Look, I get that it's, you know, it must be an incredibly difficult job. But I think also, there was some sloppy incidents. But I think all in all, like the production and the commercial event, this is the first Grand Prix in Miami. I mean, in terms of like the amount of, there's been so many like parties afterwards. There's been so much infrastructure. You've got this event here, which is weird though, because we're in Miami Beach, right? We're a good 25, 30 minutes away from the track, but they didn't like this is an F1 event. They didn't have the race on the big screen,
which is insane, isn't it? Like, especially when there's like a decorated Formula One car, just to the right of here. You've got an F1 merch store, and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to probably see something.
Yeah.
And there was nothing.
Which I think, look, I think...
There's a lot of money to make that happen as well, which I can understand. But.
You Americans know how to put on a show, no doubt. We're in Vice City. It was always going to be good. Fake Marina, any opinions on that? Seeing it in the flesh?
Again, like, if anything... I know that probably the Miami organisers, like the top dogs, are going to be like, they're taking the mickey out of our marina. But if you actually look at it at a talking point thing. You know, it has been a massively memed moment, and it doesn't matter how we talk about it. We're talking about it.
That is marketing.
And you know, it's not a bad thing for us to go, oh, the marina looks a bit bad. I'm sure overall, when they look at the impressions, they look at the amount of eyeballs that have been on this Miami
They know
GP.
what they're doing.
They were like, no, don't put real water in there. No. We'll actually put an F1 car on water.
As soon as you tweet about it, that's what they want.
Yeah.
That's what, like literally, you guys were saying earlier, there's been loads of planes flying over, like with advertisements, because obviously in the UK it's very different. And there was someone with bloody OnlyFans on a plane being advertised over the Grand Prix. I mean, maybe next year WCF1 get one of them. Yeah. Maybe they'll set up.
Oh, that'd be incredible. Yeah, well, maybe that's an avenue we haven't really.
You can upload the full 12 minutes of Charles and Matt.
Yeah, those 5 minutes that we didn't include were.
But that's what I mean. Like, that is what the US does well.
We saw a boat going past, didn't we, with a massive billboard on it.
Just
It's insane.
The whole time, just going down the whole beach.
Love an advert.
Yeah, man. But that's what I mean. I think they've got to lean into that. I think the event, I would say, all in all, I know the Grand Prix. Oh, what would you give it out of 10? Like the actual race itself. Because
it was flying towards a 3 at best.
It was, yeah.
I think obviously the safety car helped. Thank you, Lando, for taking one for the team. I think I can't give it any more than like a 5.5. I think because it still was
getting
pretty.
Into the decimal points.
Yeah, well, I can't give it a 5 and I can't give it a 6,
yeah.
so it's a 5.5.
Fair enough.
But you can round it up if you want. I can say a 6, but yeah, it was chaotic, but. I think the reason why I say there's potential is because those last 10 laps were actually really good.
Yes.
The field spread killed the race quite easily, and you know whether that's track dependent, we'll have to analyse that. But I think there's certainly hope. Baku, for example, the first race we had around there was absolute garbage, and then look at the next 2 races. They were amazing. So
yeah, I think as teams they will have learned so much from like this track because it's a new track. The conditions are again like. Especially yesterday, qualifying must have been a nightmare for some of these cars. I think McLaren would have been even worse if it was as hot as it was yesterday today. But no, in terms of my driver of the weekend, I gave it to Max ahead of Alex. I think George up there as well. Who would you say?
You got to give it to Verstappen, I think, because he was brilliant. You know, he had a poor qualifying. He made a mistake, but he made up for it in the race.
Yeah.
Got Carlos at the start, which was so crucial.
Yeah.
And then
that was a great move.
You know, he has Charles's number as well, especially in that first stint. Second stint was obviously a bit closer on the hards, but on the mediums, he knew what he was doing. He closed up, didn't make any mistakes, and he got the win. So if we're looking at a title battle, but I mean Albon, unbelievable drive. To be fair, you know that Williams it looks like an absolute dog.
Is it, or is? So I can't really sugarcoat this, or is Latifi just?
Or is Latifi making it look bad? I think there's definitely that. 100%. Like Latifi is having a shocking season, and I think that his confidence is through the floor at the moment. But Albon, you just like George Russell last year, and against Latifi, just in general over his Williams career, we can only judge him on what he does. And if he's trouncing his teammate, like Latifi's still very much a competent driver. It's just that next level that clearly Albon's showing.
Look, I mean, quali was very close. Like Latifi almost out-qualified Albon. It was very, very close in qualifying. But yeah, race he was again. If it wasn't for the safety car, I reckon there'd be about a minute between them. So
insane.
Any other particular stories that interested you? Because obviously Charles. I mean, I don't know. It's looking a bit ominous. I don't want to be too reactive, but again, Max has won every race he's finished.
Yeah, I love tweeting that fact, and it really riles people up. And you'd think that I'm a Verstappen fanboy by the way I'm tweeting it, because if Verstappen had finished every race, he still wouldn't have won them all. But the ominous thing is the fact that he does have the edge over Charles at the moment. It's not by much, though. But if you're going to bet on either Red Bull or Ferrari developing more, I would put my money on Red Bull. I just think that they have an edge when it comes to development. But then again, we're still waiting for Mercedes to pop up as well, and that could change the title fight completely if Mercedes starts taking points off Red Bull and finishing in between Ferrari and Red Bull. There could be all kinds of twists and turns in this championship. We're only 5 rounds in now. There's so much development to go on that we'll look back at these races and go, oh, they were really close back then. Red Bull are now winning by 30 seconds.
Well, that's what I mean. I think there's so much now. We'll see what changes the team's going to make for Catalunya, because I think that's what they're talking. Everything's about big changes for Catalunya. These cars, they look so different in the wind tunnel. Blah blah blah. I don't know. Maybe Alfa Romeo pull it out of the bag and be the quickest car. I feel like from Catalunya onwards. Or no, let's put it this way. I think when we get to the last race of this season, I think if you rank the cars performance-wise today,
Yeah.
I think then it's going to be very different. Maybe even at the top.
It could be.
Because I think what
Could
you do
change it.
next is going to... If Mercedes, do you think Mercedes are actually going to recover?
I do. I genuinely think they will start winning races.
Because it's all
at some
well and
point
good
this year.
getting to the top of the midfield.
Yeah.
Which, you know, George is, again, top 5 in every single race. So that car has clearly always had all season has had the pace to be top of the midfield. But that next step, that's the step.
It's a big step as well, isn't it? Like, you can overcome your problems and then top of the midfield, as you say. But then there's that extra half a second, 3/4 of a second that's missing. But I don't know. I won't write them off until halfway through the season, to be honest with you, because they've picked up enough points to not be completely if they're not finishing out the points every single race.
No,
like
exactly.
George is picking up. He's the only driver to have finished in the top 6 in the entire season. So I'm not writing them off yet because they've won 8 titles in a row. So
I mean, they won 8 titles in a row for a reason, but also no one's guaranteed success. And
that's very true.
They've learnt that the hard way so far this year. But mate, right, I think we'll wrap it.
Yeah, pleasure.
Thank you for coming on.
Shall I let you do the outro?
Yeah, go on. Bugger off.
Bye, everyone.
See you, man. We're done, people. I'm going to love you and leave you. Obviously, thank you to Matt for coming on. Big man, Matt Gallagher. Thank you to 8 Sleep as well for making all this happen. I wouldn't be here without them. 8sleep.com. Have a look. If you like cool mattresses, if you struggle with sleep, have a look, all right? I'm getting one. I'm looking forward to it. And, yeah, they've been so accommodating. It's been incredible. Thank you, 8 Sleep, for having me. Thank you, everyone, for watching, supporting what I do. I wouldn't get the opportunities I do without you guys watching. It was really nice to meet some of you this weekend. Obviously, I don't get many opportunities because I haven't been to many. I've only been to Silverstone before, Miami, so I don't get many opportunities to go to races, and it's a privilege to meet some of you guys, and met a few of you on Saturday. Super nice, and yeah, I'm still riding this wave. I still can't quite believe this is my job, but there you go.
Let's go to WTF1.
I mean, if you really want to, you've already got 1 million, Matt. Don't be greedy, bruv. Send some of them my way, please. But yeah, subscribe to WTF1 as well. Why not? You should do that as well. Because I used to. I've got love for WTF1 as ex-editor. I turned the channel around as far as I'm concerned, and I sowed the seed to them getting to 1 million. I'm just saying. Okay. Anyway, thank you all for coming. Enjoy your evening. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your morning. Drink. Stay hydrated. Buy an 8 Sleep mattress, and I will see you. I know, because we've got another 2-week break before Catalunya, and also I did a vlog on Saturday, so I'm planning on putting that out. Maybe this week, maybe Wednesday. Just take all the footage I got, try and make something half decent out of it to show you guys the experience behind the scenes at Miami. So, yeah, again, cheers everyone. Appreciate the love, appreciate the support. Sorry I missed any super chats, but thank you all for supporting me. Watching you don't have to super chat. You just watch me. That's all I ask. Thank you to everyone who's watching live and after the fact. And if I've got time, I might upload this as a podcast as well. I might not have time, but we'll see. Yeah, I'm going to say goodbye again because I always draw this out. But it's a live stream, so I'm allowed to do that. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to stop streaming now. I'm going to stop waffling. And I will see you back in the UK with hopefully some nice tan lines. Goodbye.